An open world game isn't that which leaves you awestruck just with its beautiful graphics, map size, mechanics, or the storyline. A living, breathing open world tells hundreds if not thousands of stories oozing out of every piece of the world which it is set in. Night City is one such place that may appear to be like that cliché dystopian cityscape often depicted in various forms of media. However, it is important to acknowledge that what makes a city an actual city are its settlers.
Any place I go, I see ghosts. I am the most dose of no diagnose. You try to shoot me down, but I recover. I am the rat that's like nothing to other. When I was born, I brought radness, sadness, badness, madness, all of the above. Love, none there, glare, cold stare, fair. I'm too rare to die, but fuck it. You got poison in your system. It's sick how you still glisten. You got poison in your system. It's sick how you still glisten. You got poison in your system. It's sick how you still glisten. You got poison in your system. Sick how you still glisten. These eyes are too wise.
I played Cyberpunk in the big 2024, a game infamous for being a glitchy mess at launch, widely labeled as broken and unplayable.
Oh, I landed straight into the trash. Oh, whoa. Chat. Oh my god, what? Someone clip that? What the?
Fast forward 5 years later, it's a completely different story, thanks to the updates it has received. Other games in their own right, such as Red Dead Redemption 2 or God of War, are considered to be benchmarks in gaming. They're considered to be peak. And after all these updates, it's safe to say that Cyberpunk 2077 is definitely peak as well. Hence why I'm so excited to share my experience of playing this amazing game through this video essay. So, tuck yourself under your sheets and get yourself comfy, because this is going to be an audio-visual feast, presented to you by yours obediently.
The City of Dreams. I'd gladly kick the balls off the idiot who thought that one up.
You see, I played Cyberpunk after I quit my job. I was dealing with an actual burnout at the time. Burnout meaning I just couldn't really get myself to work again and get paid. I was suffering from the lingering effects of corporate exploitation, something very prevalent in our world today. Cyberpunk in the year 2077 still depicts the same story, but at a higher degree. While its cityscape may appear to be beautiful and scenic, take one look into places like Jig Jig Street or Charter Hill Skyway, and you realize that it wasn't built on the money extracted from, per se, natural resources. It took human resources to build those places. While it may seem bleak at first, think of how our megacities are growing. What drives them? What brings development in facilities that are otherwise impossible to implement without capital? And what exactly brings in that capital? Is it the plants that grow out of the soil? Or is it the mines that extract valuable resources from beneath it? Or is it us?
Next stop, Congress and MLK.
The settlers of a city make the city. We're the ones pumping money into things that the municipality does for us or for their businessman friends. Every tax Eurodollar extracted in Night City from the employed and the unemployed is put into building the city wider and taller. It's not just Night City though. It's all the cities in the world that are not being built off oil money. There is a system in place that powers capitalism. I too am a part of the system, and it's just my personal opinion, but I feel like the salaried employed life sucks. I completely despise it. Again, some people might like it, but I always saw it being largely depressing for everything that it entails.
I'm already having a shitty day. Don't make it worse.
In the mission with Jackie, where we infiltrate the Konpeki Plaza Hotel in an attempt to retrieve the relic from Noboru Arasaka's penthouse, the lobby and the interior of the hotel is one of the first instances where you get to see that depressing design, resembling much of what modern-day offices typically look like. I'm not delusional to say it gave off a vibe of you fighting back against the Matrix. I remember playing that one game back in 2015 on my aunt's Nokia Lumia. It was called Vector. Raise your hand if you've played this game, because although it is by design a parkour game where you assume control of a shadow and escape the shepherds of the Matrix, it much resonates with how it felt fighting our way out of that hotel. It ignites a fiery feeling of revolting against this corporate system, or at least I felt like it. Coming back to Night City. The main problem that felt like a problem by design in Night City was the fact that despite having such a huge city to explore, the mission design almost shrinks down the city area to just maybe 5% of the entire map. It is quite a relief not to be traveling across the world to activate a new quest, but in Night City, it always felt like everything was just too easily in reach.
Ready to roll or what?
The drives felt incredibly short, and there was no feeling of exploration until we reached other suburbs and had to drive back to Walton, where RV resides. In summary, the game felt quite limiting. I think that the GTA games have one of the best map designs, and the developers know exactly how to get the player to explore the map and spread out missions all across the world. So in their playthrough, there's always something new to explore. There's always a different detail the players could come across, a random side quest they could indulge in, or a minigame they could play at their own accord, if they wish to. This makes the GTA games a pretty good competitor for Cyberpunk despite not exclusively being tagged as an RPG. But that's not to say Night City is under-detailed or limited. It's still a very densely populated city and has a lot of areas to explore if you move past the main quest and indulge in the side quests like boxing for Vincent or running errands for fixers like Mr. Hands. It's incredibly explorable in that sense, but for the main quest, which I believe is what a wide majority of players will be focusing on their first time playing Cyberpunk, are definitely going to face this issue with the initial play area being too small. Focusing on civilian life in Night City. It's quite shallow on paper. NPCs in this game are pretty dumb, as I'd like to pose it. You see, I've played RDR2, which came out 2 years before Cyberpunk 2077 did, and the NPCs in that game bother looking at you at the very least when you do something or get into their personal space. But in Cyberpunk, this is not how it really works. The range you need to get in for NPCs to actually notice you is like 5 meters, and sometimes less. It just feels incredibly foolish to be standing here seeing a little gang meetup and listen to their dialogue without them even batting an eye or caring even once.
I got my own heaven right here, Lindo.
What do the NPCs even do in this game? Meet with people? Sit by themselves? Stare at things? Drive around the city or play the guitar?
You lost?
A lot of what we see in Cyberpunk feels very pre-programmed. NPC intelligence for random encounters is nearly zero. I could just call it a design strength that complements the theme of the game, but that's just straight up not the case. The metro or subway trains, as people say, do exist in Cyberpunk, and it looks and feels much like it is in real life. Although I feel like the amount of isolation and people who just don't bother looking at anyone or anything and are consumed by their own company with their favorite technology makes the metro a shallow experience. The game was probably rushed for release and they just scrapped adding more intelligence to these settlers of the city. But on the contrary, while it may sound like defying my 2-minute long rant, I don't think it's a massive flaw, because somehow, unintentionally, it complements the themes of Cyberpunk, showing how everyone has drowned themselves in consumerism and have become socially isolated, how people's emotional parameters have plummeted to a very low level and the sense of community is starting to fade.
Next stop, Pacifica Stadium.
You know what the main appeal of Cyberpunk really is? Aside from its graphics, I like to think it's the world. And I don't mean it like just the world. I mean the timeline which it is set in. We expected flying cars by 2077 and there they are. We expected dystopian cityscapes and there they are. We also expected socially isolated people scavenging for their survival in an overly consumerist late-stage capitalist world. And here we are. Another movie which conveys this exact theme very perfectly is Blade Runner 2049. Starring our favorite literally me character, Ryan Gosling as K, an LAPD officer. I think if you haven't watched this film, then you're just missing out on cultivating an important perception of this future we're seeing in Cyberpunk 2077. A future that subjects Metro City residents to live where there's bad air, dark areas, crammed little apartments, and widespread poverty across many dimensions because the corporations take all the resources and make you work for a little dime, just so you can survive and work another day for them. It's a loop anyone would find inhumane, stupid, or outright dense. And as humans, we sure can feel that. But to think beyond money is a blessing. Not everyone is blessed into prosperity or families with wealth. Those that are a part of the system already know that they're stuck in a loop. A lot of the stuff on their mind outweighs the inner humane feeling telling them that they weren't meant to wake up at 7, commute to work till 9, then get off by 5 and come back home by 8. Only to then do nothing, but to consume another product because you worked 8 hours of your life today to earn the money to consume that product. I can't imagine a future for myself that many people get to live in today. They have romantic feelings towards a person, channelized by everything that they lack. which gives them the motivation to try and spend their life with this person who makes them complete, thereby becoming one another's better halves. During the course of the story, we can come across potential romance options in the game. These romance options are introduced to you by a main quest, but thereafter it's solely your choice if you want to pursue the lead and explore these characters by engaging in multiple quests with them. Judy always used to be that girl who stood out in the posters, the videos and the memes made on Cyberpunk. Although, during my playthrough, I didn't really like her. Turns out she's only compatible with female V, and I picked the male V. Meredith, I don't know, she's a bad B, but I got intimidated by her the first time, so I just didn't want to with her. And Kerry Eurodyne, I don't swing that way. To be real with you guys, I was more focused throughout the game in fixing our problem, because we're literally dying and every hour of gameplay I get a stroke and start hallucinating and seeing Johnny Silverhand appear before me and start yapping.
Corps have long controlled our lives, taken lots, and now they're after our soul.
Shut up!
I mean, if I'm literally dying every minute the clock ticks, why would I care about anything else other than finding a cure for me? This is the reason why I didn't indulge in 95% of the side quests that were presented to me with each passing hour of gameplay. But then, after finding out about how we can fix our problem, Rogue sends us to work with a transporter of sorts. And that's when my sights came across her for the first time. And it was quite literally a sight to behold. I'm talking about none other than Panam Palmer.
I couldn't wait for you to come and clear the cupboards, but now you're gone and leaving nothing but a sign. Another evening I'll be sitting reading in between your lines, because I miss you all the time. So get away, another way to feel what you did all yourself to know, and let yourself go. You know you did lose your self-control. There's no end of the rainbow.
Right off, she's just so bad, oh my god. I was being serious about seeing her for the first time being a sight to behold. Like, I really liked what I saw, and I deliberately stalled pressing X to start the quest because I didn't want to disturb her. I just wanted to sit and watch. Also, Panam's quests were just an excuse. All I wanted to do was just hang out with her, see where it goes. And boy oh boy, it wasn't just how bad she was that actually attracted me. It's also her personality, a little bit intimidating yet bold and confident. A leader type with a yearning for someone to look out for her. Sure, lore-wise she has a family, the Aldecados. But she had her own set of problems and struggled to maintain herself through all the shit that got thrown at her. She always felt the need to prove her worth to her family that always belittled and protected her. Our male V helps Panam accomplish that. In the process, she realizes that we complete her more than she completes us. A lot of people like to say it's the canon ending you get being with Panam, but again, the choice is given to you in the end. And as surprising as it may be, I didn't choose to go with Panam. I just wanted to become the Night City legend, but Panam wouldn't accompany me after I'd become one. That's what struck me as a rude awakening. We didn't share the same mission. It was about self-actualization for me more than it was to see a future with Panam. And so, I did what I had to do. Panam stuck around till the very end, but we had to part ways. I couldn't pretend that I didn't want to be the Night City legend, something I had worked for all along, and then give up on the dream while it was in my reach. It was a difficult choice to make between happily forever after and finishing what I started, but I knew I'd find my peace in finishing what I started, and I did exactly that. My V's end finally met him, and I felt no regrets as the beautiful story came to an end and the credits rolled. The time I spent with Panam really got me hooked to a video game character. She made me feel things I never thought I'd get to feel. She was a little corny in the scene, paying a tribute to Jackie for our sake.
And to Jackie.
But I genuinely sat through that segment, completely immersed. She was saying such cute and sweet things, I felt some type of way. Nobody has been able to captivate me like this. In fact, I really enjoy sitting in silence and listening to people like a podcast, even if I'm not involved. It's still insanely therapeutic to me. Panam was able to tap into that and show me that pre-pillow talk also exists.
Good night, B.
Next, we had to save Saul from captivity. And in the end, if we're the Rizzler, we get to flirt a bit with Panam. She's so bad. The next bit is a juicy one. You know that mission where we seize control of the Millennium Falcon with Panam and blow shit up? Well, I awkwardly also got through that scene. The fact that I came here to continue playing after I and Panam had shared such a lore and built a genuine bond made it memorable. 10 out of 10 segment would again. Moving on to the part where Panam shows everyone that she's capable of making decisions and she talks back to Saul. She gets crowned the leader of the Aldecados. We then share some drinks and part ways with Panam, and on my way back to the city, I actually felt it. I kissed Panam and I immediately missed her company. Just as we left the camp, driving all alone with some jazz music in the middle of the desert, thinking, wait, why does my heart feel like it's gonna drop? Leaving her behind and returning to the city on my own, that distance really adds to what you get to feel after parting ways with her. Lore-wise, this is the final time you get to see Panam unless she really wants to stay at your house. Past this point, you can unlock the main quests and call her up for help again to initiate the star ending with her and the gang. I think that the Aldecados camp location is a deliberate design thing because unless you fast travel back to the next quest, you're really just thinking about what went on back there. You realize that your lore is connected here and that this is a real feeling and you low-key wanna be here. What I mean to say through all of this is the fact that I felt like Panam was real for as long as the game was on. It subliminally created a picture of how I'd like my romantic interest to be. It set expectations I don't think I'll find anybody meeting. I became invested in her story, being with her and exploring my future in her company because she actually felt like a girlfriend to me. I know, to say this out loud is quite dystopian. Through a 2020 game, this must be some straight up weird shit and I'm going to get judged harshly for this video. However, what good is a video essay if you don't express your true feelings and say your thoughts out loud, unfiltered for people to resonate with? I'll take one for the team. After many weeks, Panam is a phase in the past, but I'll always subliminally chase her and anybody I become attracted to. Thanks for letting me stare at that beautiful Panam. Moving on, let's now talk about the story. The story of Cyberpunk 2077 is driven through player choices. Although there are non-negotiable main quests every player has to start to progress the story because it is also linear. But if we talk about my experience with the story, at first upon just unlocking so many quests, the game felt very overwhelming for me. I just continued doing what was highlighted in yellow in the journal, but then the game put up many cyber psycho, bounty and other types of quests through either a random or known caller. This random bunch of side quests were only good for the money aspect. You see, although having come across a Ripper doc and the importance of cyberware, I never really paid attention to it until the very end. That's when I realized that I could grab double jump, enable shins and more RAM to hack into even more stuff. I didn't care about any houses nor any cars or assets as such. All I really cared about was the main story, and while it was captivating enough, it felt like I was able to end the game too soon. Before I knew it, Hanako was already waiting for me at Embers. Until this point, I even tried to bond with Johnny because I liked him as my alter ego. Johnny Silverhand himself is an iconic character, and when I got the chance to do quests for him involving people from his past, I did it, and saw what kind of a life Johnny could have lived had he not died to a Robocop-looking Atom Smasher. Genuine friends, love interest, mission, passion and personality. Not wrong to say that as much as he was a legend in the afterlife, we fulfilled the dream and became an actual legend of Night City. Johnny deserved not to die the night he raided Arasaka Tower, and RV's existence seemed almost bleak in contrast to Johnny's reason to exist. To seek revenge, have another chance, live out the life in our body, and he could have everything that he wanted. That bond and shared connection made me grow with Johnny and learn from him. In the end, we both found respect in each other's existence and proved that both of us deserve it. Although, alas, we know how the story ends. I really just pointed out the two characters I actually cared about, with them being Panam and Johnny, but I also cared about Takemura, Victor and Misty. It's too easy to love these characters that show genuine connection and compassion for our V more than the transactional ones, and I think that's rare in Cyberpunk. The theme that it is set in shows a future where nobody really cares. Everything is bought and paid for, but bonds like this in particular stand out because it's real, it's meaningful, and it cannot be purchased. The dynamics of the relationship with these characters sure had its fair share of personal choice involved, but you could tell that these characters sought a genuine connection in RV.
Okay, partner.
Time to grab the lizard and scurry out of here.
I bet all of you can agree that playing with Jackie was more like a cutscene. We have too little time with him to form a bond or anything, and he leaves us too soon. He feels just like a forced character arc or a reason to pursue our dreams, and if I'm being real, there was not much connection other than a deeply emotional scene I didn't feel much about when he died in our arms. But then again, I think that's the point. Gone too soon. R.I.P. Jackie Wells. I just couldn't care less about Jackie. I went to his remembering ceremony like 27 days late after Mama Wells called me, and there I found more of a connection with Misty than I did with Jackie. But then again, I think it just boils down to personal experience and choice. Misty really loved Jackie. You can see it every time you come across her. I just felt bad about her being miserable without Jackie's company because love is something already rare to find in a place like Night City, and to lose love definitely hurt her.
You don't believe in no fate, every day digging the grave, stepping up here with the stakes, city of dreams, city of gang. You don't believe in no fate, I might just dig up your grave, stepping up here with a gang, city of dreams, city of gang.
Much like the world of Cyberpunk, our world is also unequal. People are segregated on the basis of their wealth and status. Not everyone is the same. People acquire their status either by inheritance or their job role, and to get a certain level of wealth that's locked in means owning that status. Night City doesn't just show us an image of a dystopian future. What this city entails is completely up to personal interpretation, unless it's explicitly intended to depict a theme. An equal society with equal economic opportunities isn't possible in most places driven through capitalism. Countries with abundance in natural resources will still find a bit of leniency in classifying their own people, but they simply won't treat the migrants the same way. As I see it, an urban settlement is a culmination of talent pooled together to create profit. For whom, you might ask? For the government. Just kidding. I feel it's no surprise that our world today functions in this way, where the superior class of people, all the way from the ultra super rich to the extremely poor and poverty stricken, everyone exploits the inferior class. The billionaires exploit the millionaires, millionaires exploit the upper middle class exploit the middle class, and the middle class exploit the poor. All sequentially. You need to delve deep into this logic to understand that the rich always make their money work, so they can have hired hands and brains work for that money, often the inferior class. But our world will change eventually. There is not one doubt about the progressive meltdown that capitalism will cause. Adjoining the economic disparity and status point, let's talk about your worth as a human being. In Night City, a place run by corporations and institutions, your value will be inherited from the organization or group you're a part of. This is true in our world too. Why do you want to be let it known on LinkedIn what organization you work for, or what job role you have? And as a student, why do you want to tag your university in your bio and mention that you're a class of 26? I never understood the point of doing this. I only made a LinkedIn at age 17 because I thought it was supposed to make me money. The point is, it's become a point of identity, of worth and value to people. The innate need to define your social class and standing in society. It's a matter of pride for many that they go to a certain school or work at a certain company or institution, and that's what everyone strives for, right? To be recognized by people based on an ID card that you and billions of others let hang around their necks, with it being the sole point of identity for them. And the better the ID card, the more famous the organization, the more famous you are. So, let it be known. In that one mission where you saved that woman with Jackie shows how important it is to make money in Night City. You see, if a random person dies in Night City, nobody really cares. However, in situations like this, to be rescued by a high-tech life-saving company, you need to be insured. Subscription models are rising in our society. Insurance too gives you a choice to pay monthly premiums, and that's what most salaried employees go for. This constant need of having to pay each month to avail facilities has been leading us to an unforeseen time where all the core essentials like education and healthcare will also shift to be on a subscription basis, the private ones. It's already progressing in this direction because pretty much these things are for granted. And I love having to pay for Twitch subscriptions to watch my favorite streamer ad-free. I love having to pay for Spotify and Amazon Prime and whatever the fuck. And I want to continue availing these facilities, of course. But what about the time where you don't have the money to pay for these things and start incurring penalties for the same? It's just constantly pummeling you down into a consumerist lifestyle and penalizing you if you fail to pay. While it may seem unlawful at this point in time, I think that the rise of corporatocracy might just overthrow the government after one point. It's anyways that we're seeing how much of an influence billionaires have on the government and institutions. And it goes to show that when the federal government mistakes the billionaire for their friend, the billionaire gets unprecedented benefits by sticking with the man or woman in charge. All this is funded and run by us common folk. Without our cooperation, all of it would cease to exist. I'm not starting a revolution here, just something to acknowledge. Moving on. finally taking a dive and going into a spacecraft crash zone. Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. This DLC is the reason why this video took so long to make. I had finished the base game back in November and I thought this was a skippable DLC, but boy was I wrong. With nearly 8 hours of brilliantly written story, many side quests and cool new parts of the map to explore, this was truly a worthwhile experience for me. We start this new chapter after we're contacted by Songbird, a premium netrunner working for the FIA. She tells us that if we help her and the NUSA President Myers safely escape, she will cure us of our problem with the relic and save our lives. And boy oh boy, it's been a hell of a journey from that point on. For how simple it looked from the get-go, shit truly transpired like crazy and our objectives changed like seconds on the clock. Hour by hour, you realize that you're being pulled into deeper shit. If saving your life would have been that easy, Victor would have done it for free. But these feds used RV and held the cure as ransom to get involved in their shit. Let me briefly take this moment and tell you, for the contrasting cityscape that exists outside of this gated community called Dogtown, there are a lot of unappealing things about the environment here. So let me just put it out there for those that glaze Dogtown with passion. I took any and every opportunity I got to return to Night City. Lockdown was so tight and limited to like 4 roads. The tree place was nice. It felt like I was watching that Disney movie Coco. But besides that, there was nothing that could beat the beauty or vibe that Night City had. I mean, let's be real. The biggest appeal of Cyberpunk is Night City. Dogtown, although technically deep and I believe explorable, was just not it. Let's take a moment to appreciate the key point of what makes this DLC so amazing. The writing is extraordinary. Johnny feels like a real one now because the main story was where you bond with him, and by the time you play Phantom Liberty, you have built up a Johnny meter too. For a change, this is incredible and it's very refreshing to have a familiar face pop up in a foreign environment. He feels like that super cool unk who tells us what's right and what's wrong in a candid way. The pun, the delivery, and even his time of arrival in all his encounters whenever he hallucinates, especially during the surgery with Farida, is perfect example for a little chill time.
How many fingers am I holding up?
Songbird got spoiled for me, thanks to Reddit. And throughout the interactions that we had with her, I always tried selecting the dialogue options that intently show that I don't trust her. But I was low-key disappointed that it has absolutely no effect on anything. Reed and Johnny kept trying to gaslight me saying they don't know. But bro, trust me, I know. She's lying. Anyways, what stood out with the writing and dialogues were the one-liners that Reed, Alex and Johnny just threw around like they were nothing. It got to the point where I pushed up my nerd glasses and took notes.
Even deep wounds stop hurting eventually. Scar over. A few years on, they're just an itch. Let's go. P, can you hear me?
Think I'm in here. And I can talk.
One day you wake up and it's all over. The achievement that you pursued with every breath you took finally gets to a point and it's over. You see, V did what he could to potentially save him from flatlining. He was left with a multiple choice question. Work up to a point with the FIA, then choose to seek help from Reed or Somi. Life doesn't owe anybody a conclusion. For all you know, you could keep doing something forever. What you chase and work for every day might be something you have to do for an indefinite amount of time with no conclusion. You may never win and you may never lose. If you really want it, then you gotta wake up every day and do what you're supposed to do regardless of how you feel. It's called discipline by many, but to me it's called being beyond repairable. You put everything at stake every day in the pursuit of one singular objective. You couldn't live without it if you tried. V's journey seems kind of... the entire situation for him is do or die. The relic kills him and slowly gives his body to Johnny. So he has to do whatever he can do no matter how unfavorable it is for him. The beauty of this DLC lies in the fact that this story doesn't have a happy ending. Whatever path you decide to end this DLC with, it's all a little bittersweet. You choose what feels the most satisfactory to you. All your choices made throughout the playthrough will lead you there. It doesn't essentially mean you like the story on your first playthrough because, like I said, all the endings now included in Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty are kinda bittersweet. You take what you can get and settle with it. My approach got Alex killed. I'm so sad that had to happen. But for a takeaway from this video, Cyberpunk's world is amazing. And it's also a warning. V's story was never about being perfect. It was about choices. In a way, it mirrors our life too. We don't always get what we want, and sometimes we don't even know what we're chasing. If anything, you should live every day like it's a blessing and enjoy yourself, cause life is crazy. Appreciate the lows and celebrate the highs, and do what makes you happy. Your choices define who you are. With that, this video essay has come to an end. Thank you for sticking around this far. Be sure to leave a like before you click off to support an aspiring video essayist, and subscribe because I've got more essays on my mind. It's been me with Cyberpunk 2077 and my story. Until next time.
On behalf of the staff of the Independent California Motel, I wish you all sweet dreams.